What's up, guys? It's the Odds Couple. I'm Sam.
I'm Taylor.
I'm the stats guy.
And I'm just here to drink the beer.
Oh, I'll join in on that.
Do you have to cheers me? What are you doing?
Sorry, we're new to this. What do we got for him today?
All right, so today we are going to talk about 10 deep sleepers to help you in your fantasy draft. And I actually have the list today, so I'm going to give you the names and you give me the why.
Oh, sweet. Oh, let's see if I might change some up on you and see if you follow.
Don't do that. I was prepared.
All right, come on.
All right.
Show 'em how
Number
prepared
one, we have Devonta Chain.
Devonta Chain.
I've been practicing that.
She had to look that up. I did
couple
too.
videos to
I
listen to the pronunciation.
I'm pretty sure when I first saw him in college, I was calling him like a Shane or something. I don't know.
All I can say is he's A-Chain with the A-Train. That's all I hear. All right, go ahead.
Where did you hear that?
In my head.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's a scary place, guys. Let's not go there. Devonta Chain. Okay, so rookie running back out of Texas A&M. Well, let's preface this by, so this is deep sleepers,
Yes.
meaning guys that are pretty much going to be either undrafted or a super late round flyer that probably aren't going to have an immediate impact, but may crack a starting role or a significant role, maybe let's say in the second half of the season or something, or are just one injury away from making an impact, stuff like that. So these are, again, guys that you're pretty much wasting no draft capital on, maybe even a waiver wire pickup later on. Now, the first pick that you just threw at me, we made this list a couple days ago, and since then Jeff Wilson for the Dolphins has been hurt. So this guy is actually climbing up draft ranks. So maybe
I thought you were switching the name on me.
No.
Okay.
Not so much a deep sleeper at this point is what I'm saying. But still a guy who's probably could outperform his ADP, and we have him in every league, I'm pretty sure, almost. And we were drafting him before the injury because of what I'm about to tell you. So this is a guy who ran a 4.32. I should check my notes on that. 4.32 40-yard dash is what I'm going with. Pretty sure it was that.
Twister.
He's fast. And I mean, look, the Dolphins love using guys that are fast. Mike McDaniel obviously loves Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Their whole offense is kind of built around speed. Even their running backs, the older guys who, again, their age is a big reason I liked A-Chain before the injury. But Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert are burners. And honestly, again, they are always hurt. Jeff Wilson, he's already out the first 4 weeks, so A-Chain probably is already going to have an immediate role. He's going to be the pass-catching back. That's, kind of his bread and butter. Great pass catcher. He's, I think he's only 5'8", so he's not going to be a between-the-tackles runner, which they don't need him to do that in Miami. They love getting people out in space, utilizing that speed. I think, again, Mike McDaniel's going to find ways to get him the ball, and Raheem Mostert is right now the only person standing in his way, and while he'll probably get the between-the-tackles, run plays that they do draw up, I'm sorry, I hate to wish injury on a guy. He's like 32 years old, I think now, and he's always hurt. He had one amazing playoff game against the Packers years ago, and everyone has loved him since and overdrafted him, and he usually comes out, has a good game, and immediately something happens to him. So,
what did you say the age was for usually retirement in football? You're getting close to.
I mean, running back position has the shortest shelf life out of any position, really. By the time now it's like 26, 27. They're pretty much either out of the league or
really?
Just
I was thinking 30.
Not getting respected. That's really what it was for a while. It was very rare for a running back to perform well after age 30, and it just keeps, ticking down further. They have so many miles on them. They're running into big guys into the line and stuff, running between tackles. That's the biggest thing. And then now it's just that, they're kind of underappreciated because when you plug and play different guys, they're finding out running back is probably the least important position to them because they're easily replaceable. That's kind of the whole argument from owners right now with all these running backs holding out and whatnot.
And that's why when we in the draft, that's why we have so many benches, right? They're wide receivers. Running
bench
back,
slots?
sorry. Yeah.
No, you put whoever you want in your bench slot.
Oh.
You can have 7 quarterbacks.
But generally, you have more running backs and wide receivers.
Typically, you have more running backs, wide receivers, because you're only starting one quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
If you have more running back slots, bye weeks, injuries, whatever, you need to fill more. But yeah, that's why I like Devon Chain. Sorry. Jeez.
I might have said it wrong.
I'm
Did I say
mispronouncing
it
his
wrong?
first name.
I don't
We
know.
were so focused on his last name. Now I'm calling him the wrong first name.
All right. Next up, we have Roshan Johnson. Did I say that right?
Roshan Johnson? I think
Yeah.
you did, yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so he's a fourth-round pick for the Bears,
Okay.
who got rid of David Montgomery.
Mhm.
And it was supposed to be Khalil Herbert's backfield, but then they did sign Dante Foreman. So he's kind of third string right now.
Mhm.
But again, injuries to Dante Foreman, which he's been dealing with some stuff during training camp. He might be fine for week 1. But and then Khalil Herbert's never had a full workload. He's done well when he touches the ball, and I like him this year. But
Mhm.
if he proves that he either can't kind of fulfill a full workload or gets injured trying to do it, whatever, Roshan Johnson's a guy that they could get involved, and he was actually backup to Bijan Robinson at Texas. So he played well. He was kind of a jack of all trades, but Bijan Robinson, obviously first-round pick in fantasy and first-round pick in real life.
Yeah.
He was just stuck behind him. So good enough to be drafted in the 4th round, even though he wasn't the starter on his own college team. He's got talent, and he's going to be kind of in that role to start with the Bears, kind of a jack of all trades, but not really the starter of any of them.
Mhm.
So, but a couple injuries away from being that role, and I love whoever is in the backfield for the Bears. Reason being, we talked about this on another episode, Justin Fields is really the main focus in the rushing attack.
Yeah.
You're covering him so much in read options and whatnot, it just opens lanes for running backs, and that's why guys like Khalil Herbert have had success. And again, a couple injuries away, or just that he's going to get chances to outperform and work his way into a more significant role. And I think later half of the year, you might see that.
All right, let's move on to number 3, Justice Hill.
Justice Hill.
Yeah.
This really is a deep, deep sleeper. So Justice Hill, everyone's kind of aware of the J.K. Dobbins stuff going on in the offseason, his holdout, and then I guess, I don't know, hold in or whatever.
Wait, just pause. What does that mean?
So he's holding out for his contract. So like we talked about with running backs, they're kind of underappreciated and whatnot. Although he just thinks he's underappreciated, but he really had no leg to stand on. That's a guy that's been injured every year in the league, pretty much. Been phenomenal when he's on the field, but you got to be on the field. It's like not showing up to work 50% of the time and then demanding a raise. So I feel like, and while this may not be true, this is just my kind of gauge on it. I feel like he's kind of a guy that's going to be in Harbaugh's doghouse, and you know how that goes.
Yes.
So if that happens and we see maybe more of Gus Edwards, and I think we could definitely see more of Justice Hill. We saw some of him last year. Or if Dobbins just gets injured again, which, you never hope for it again, but it happens, and the guy gets that tag for a reason of being, injury prone. That happens. Justice Hill is probably going to be part of a committee with Edwards, and Hill played well last year when he got the ball in his hands. He played, he had a couple runs in the preseason, which ironically, as soon as he did, along with Keaton Mitchell in the preseason, J.K. Dobbins magically showed up. So somebody might have been a little worried about their role there. And while I like Dobbins if he's on the field, again, this is a guy, Justice Hill, that you could get for literally nothing. He's not getting drafted anywhere, maybe really deep leagues. And he's probably got the best hands of any of the running backs on the Ravens. So in the new Monken offense, if they spread it out and they decide that Lamar should throw to running backs, he's historically never really has. He takes off himself. But if all the reports are true and he's going to throw the ball more, Hill is probably going to be the guy that's on passing downs, unless J.K. Dobbins, they give him a chance to do it. But again, I think this is a guy that if Dobbins gets hurt, I think I would be starting Justice Hill.
Is it all in the hands or is it in the gloves?
Oh, gosh. Don't have this debate again. Those gloves are cheap. But no, for running backs aren't making difficult catches, so they're fine.
Okay, let's move on. Number 4, we have Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid. We talked about him again on another episode.
Uh-huh.
So, again, a guy that is now kind of starting to get drafted, I feel like, but still way late. He's not any of the the top couple tight ends. And if you don't get one of those top tight ends, the Darren Wallers and Travis Kelce's and whatnot, this is a guy you can get with a final pick or maybe even just off the waiver wire. Drafted in the first round for the Bills for a reason. He led all of FBS last year in college for receiving yards and catches per game. And he's going to be split out wide for the Bills offense that has Josh Allen throwing you the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Stephon Diggs, some Gabe Davis, who's really never lived up to the hype, and who else? It's going to have to be Kincaid. I mean, they're not, they don't really throw to their running backs. And, while I think James Cook is a great pass catcher and great with the ball in his hands, until they prove that they're going to use him more or someone else emerges, I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be that guy. You know what I mean? So he's going
to be that guy.
Yeah, I think he could crack tight end 1 by the end of the year for sure.
Wow.
And if you're drafting a tight end late, I think he's one of the guys that I would be targeting. And maybe, if the first couple weeks you stream somebody else who is going to have a role, but I'd kind of either, if you have room on your bench, or get ready to pick him up on the waiver wire as soon as he proves that role. I think, he could crack tight end 1.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's move on to Jalen Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
So, draft pick for the Giants, 3rd round pick, and this is really all about his blazing speed. Ran a 4.4 40. And then they just have no one to throw the ball to on the Giants. I like Darren Waller this year for that reason, but as far as the wide receiver room, I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson, if he comes back healthy from an ACL, but he didn't really, obviously due to injury last year, he didn't really prove to be that guy when he was kind of hyped up last year for fantasy leagues. And then you got Darius Slayton, who, he's a great kind of role player, can stretch the field, but he's, he shows flashes here and there, never really put together a really solid year. They're definitely thin at the wide receiver position, and Jalen Hyatt's a guy you saw in preseason. He cooked Sauce Gardner on that one route, and they played up that Gardner came back and deflected the next. But if Tyrod Taylor wasn't throwing him that ball, he would have burned the rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year last year. Again, blazing speed in an offense that Brian Daboll has dramatically improved, and I think will take another step forward. He could be the guy that stretches the field, and again, he could have some boom weeks where you're getting him for very cheap, or could take him off the waiver wire, and later in the year he could prove to be one of the guys that Daniel Jones trusts to throw the ball to and deep.
You should put him next to Dash on The Incredibles.
Never saw that movie, but okay.
What? Are you kidding me?
Is he like Flash?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's super fast, and then you have Elasti-Woman, where you say stretches the field. You could use her because she really stretches out.
Okay, so Jalen Hyatt, part of The Incredibles.
Yeah, just put him in the family.
All right.
Okay, next up
we have
we have Isaiah Likely.
Okay, so obviously backup tight end for the Ravens, and I love Mark Andrews. He missed a couple games last year, though, and I think I jotted down Isaiah Likely's stat line when Mark Andrews missed a game last year. So Andrews played a little bit with the Bucs and then left with injury. And Isaiah Likely came in to have 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Andrews was out in Week 9 against the Saints. Isaiah Likely caught a 24-yard touchdown. And then Andrews was out in Week 18 against the Bengals, which Lamar Jackson didn't even play in. And the backup quarterback Isaiah Likely dealt with, and he caught 8 catches for 103 yards. So 3 phenomenal fantasy weeks from a tight end position. Granted, Andrews wasn't on the field. So a couple things. Isaiah Likely, again, going undrafted. No one's really getting him, maybe in a deeper league. Will be a tight end 1 immediately if Mark Andrews suffers an injury.
Yeah.
And with the new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken there, he ran a lot of multiple tight end sets in college. And reports are that Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, they're a big part of the offensive plan going into the year. And if that rings to be true and they use multiple tight end sets, Isaiah Likely could carve out a role. And granted, it's a little shaky you taking a tight end 2 on his own team to be your starter, but keep an eye on him for the waiver wire. And if something happens to Andrews or he does carve out a weekly role, he could be an every week starter at the tight end position.
Sounds promising. Actually, it sounds very likely.
Wow. I knew there's a reason you're here. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So next we have
after that one.
Cheers. All right. Rashod Rice. Did I say it right?
Rashod Rice. I like it.
Is it wrong? Did I say it wrong?
Rashod Rice.
Is it really right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rashod Rice.
I'm just waiting on the fried rice joke or something like that.
No, you got to tell me about him, and then
Okay.
I can make a joke about him.
All right, so Rashod Rice, second round pick from went to the Chiefs. So he again is a guy that you're gonna get super late, but the Chiefs really don't have outside of Kelsey any pass catchers that have made a significant name for themselves. Obviously, Kadarius Toney, but he's often injured. They got Sky Moore, who really didn't do anything as a rookie this year or last year. And yeah, maybe he takes a leap forward, but I mean, he hasn't shown much, and he already lost his job as a returner because he fumbled all the time. And Rashod Rice, they used a second-round pick on him, so they plan to use him. His senior season, he had 96 catches, 1,355 yards, and 10 touchdowns for Houston.
Wow.
So I think he could come in, make possibly an immediate role, because, again, I don't know. They got Richie James there from the Giants, okay, but it's Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball. So if you end up on the field, I am interested in you with Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball. And I think he does end up on the field, and especially it might be kind of like a slow burn before he carves out a role because he is a rookie, and you saw what happened with Sky Moore when he was hyped up last year. But toward the back end of the season, he carves out a role. You have a pass catcher from the greatest quarterback in the league. Why not take a flyer on that?
All right. I don't have any jokes for him.
Good. Everyone's glad about that.
Okay, let's move on to Zay Jones.
Zay Jones. So this is a guy that last year was phenomenal and well outperformed his ADP, and he was, right up there with Christian Kirk in targets and catches. And really why he's fallen, and kind of rightfully so, is Calvin Ridley and all the hype around him. Obviously, Ridley's ready to play this year and will probably be really good, and they have a lot of mouths to feed. But Zay Jones had over 80 catches last year. He was great, and this is a guy that he's one injury away from being wide receiver 2 again in an offense that's taking a step forward probably again this year under Doug Peterson. And, yeah, you're getting him for next to nothing.
Yeah. You said he's one injury away? Who's
Yeah,
hurt?
so, Calvin Ridley hasn't played in a couple years.
Okay.
If something happens to him, you're right back to the production that Zay Jones and Christian Kirk put up last year, which was great for where you're drafting him at.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or, something happens to Christian Kirk, or they just keep running 3 wide receiver sets. He's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
So
makes sense. All right, let's move on to Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
Oh,
Okay. No, I just said it wrong.
Oh.
Jameson
Williams.
Williams. I'm not sure. It's Jameson. Jameson Williams.
Jameson.
So he's obviously suspended the first 6 games of the year. So if he's going drafted, it's very late. But in the drafts that we're running, he's been undrafted. So maybe a waiver wire pickup. That's the only unfortunate thing, is that because he's suspended, you can't put him on your IR slot. He's got to go on your bench. So you are taking up a bench spot if you take him now. But really just somebody, he was drafted in the first round despite tearing his ACL, and they knew he couldn't play. He came and played the last couple games, really didn't carve out a role. He had 1 long touchdown. That was it. So I get that part. But the Lions this year are throwing the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's great. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is in on the pass game. Outside of that, there's really not much going on. And Jameson Williams, they want to utilize. I get one of the coaches came out and said that he's never going to have great hands or whatever, but you didn't draft him in the first round if you think his hands are awful and he can't play.
Yeah.
They're going to want to do something with him. And because of that 6-game suspension, no one's really taking him. He's a guy that the second half of the year could all of a sudden be a go-to guy, outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and could make an impact.
What is an IR?
The IR slot, injured reserve. So in your fantasy leagues, if they're hurt and they're out that week, you can put them in the IR and pick someone else up for your bench.
Okay.
So you do have to waste a bench slot on them if you were to take them now, but maybe wait till week 4, week 5, and pick them up. You waste a bench spot for a week or 2, and you could have a, potential
person.
Yeah.
Pick player.
Potential league winner at the second half of the year.
Oh, so for him, I wonder if he drinks a lot of Jameson.
Wow.
I mean,
they're here for the jokes. Keep at it. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on because clearly that wasn't funny. So, last but not least, someone who has your lovely name, Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. I
He's
like
gonna
Sam
howl
Howell
at
this
ya.
year. All right. Good. Gosh. Sam Howell. I like him this year. So,
Well, you would. He has your name.
okay. So, Terry McLaurin obviously being hurt doesn't help his prospects. But McLaurin's got turf toe. Maybe he's out a week or two, whatever. Hopefully he comes back healthy. But he's got Jahan Dotson to throw the ball to. They've got, two pretty solid running backs. I think Antonio Gibson's in on the pass catching a lot this year. New offensive coordinator and Eric Bieniemy. And the biggest reason is how, number one, obviously undrafted. He's not going in any leagues unless you're in a 2-quarterback league. The guy uses his legs. So last year the only game he started was against the Cowboys defense, which we talked about is in another episode is great. Last year his stat line against them was 169 yards with a touchdown, did have a pick, but he had a rushing touchdown on 35 yards rushing. That's big in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every quarterback that runs the ball well is successful in fantasy. And a lot of rookie quarterbacks, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, all those guys kind of come out of nowhere. Everyone's worried about they can't really throw the ball, and then they're phenomenal in fantasy because rushing is way more important.
Yeah.
Just like kind of Anthony Richardson this year. He's probably going to be decently solid because he's going to run the ball a lot, even though he can't throw. So Sam Howell, though, I feel like can throw better. He's got 2 stud wide receivers, new offensive coordinator. He looks great, and I get it's preseason, but he looked great in preseason. 3 touchdowns, I think over 365 yards, whatever. And in college, his senior year, he had to touch on the rushing again, 825 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns his last year in college.
Wow.
And yeah, it's college, but my point is he's going to run the ball,
Right.
which is going to be huge. And I think he can throw, and he's got 2 good wide receivers to catch for him. So I think he's a great sleeper, great streamer if you're going to stream quarterbacks or you need him for a bye week or whatever. And then could maybe potentially crack, top 12 quarterbacks by the end of the year.
Top 12.
I think so.
All right. Well, that is everybody.
That's it?
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
your top 10 deep sleepers.
Okay, well, who do you guys like? What do you think? You like our list? Comment below who you like.
Who you don't like.
Or that. But is there anybody that you think that's maybe going late rounds or not at all that you think could maybe be a steal or a league winner second half of the year?
Let us know.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff we're supposed to say. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
See ya.